First of all, it's contentment. Contentment. The Bible says contentment, godliness to contentment is great gain.
Our prisons should be appropriate correctional centers, not just correctional centers by nomenclature. They should be real correctional centers where you have programs here. You have programs in the prison. Somebody should not go to prison and come out to commit the same crime. Police PPRO guy that appears only when we don't have elections. Shots fired. Regardless. Hey, welcome to the Triumphant Tribe Podcast, the ultimate podcast for insightful conversations aimed at giving young people positive outcomes in life. In each episode, we talk about all things life, including finance, relationships, personal growth, and training issues from a diverse range of guests. Hop on board the Triumphant Tribe Podcast and let's embark on this incredible journey of triumph together. You can listen to the Triumphant Tribe on Spotify and YouTube. You can also find the Triumphant Tribe at Titi by Wiz on TikTok and Instagram, where we'll be having highlights of our episodes. Feel free to leave comments on specific topics you'd like the tribe to discuss in the comment section of our social media posts. Thanks for tuning in today and be sure to check us out every week for new updates. Once again, welcome to the Triumphant Tribe. Today we delve into pressing issues. In this episode, we'll explore the complex relationship between internet fraud and the young population in Nigeria. As technology advances, so do the methods of fraud. We discuss how young Nigerians are navigating this digital landscape, often caught between economic hardships and the allure of quick gains. It's crucial to understand the socio-economic factors driving this trend. Education and awareness play a pivotal role in curbing internet fraud. Join us as we hear from our speakers, analyze the impact on Nigeria's reputation, and explore potential solutions to empower the youth for a more secure and prosperous future. Thank you for joining us. Remember, awareness is the first step towards change. Stay informed, stay empowered. Thank you. You know that song they used to sing, Yahoo, oh oh, Yahoo, Zay. I beg, who remember that song? Boom, John.
Yeah,
I do. I can remember. Only maintain.
No, exactly. You even remember who in the singer? Yahoo, oh oh. My younger brother will always get one funny pattern of singing it. So, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Triumphant Tribe Podcast. This is our season 2, and this is the first episode of season 2. Today, we'll be talking about Yahoo and Niger youth, internet fraud, and the young people in Nigeria. Season is called Yahoo and Niger youth. We'll talk about a lot of things. It's a multi-episode season. So for the first episode, we'll be doing internet fraud and young people in Nigeria. It's an introductory episode. So I think you'd love to stick around to listen. But before we start, I'd like our guests to introduce themselves. Or our speakers. They are not really guests, They are friends of the tribe. So our speakers can quickly introduce themselves, especially our new speaker. So guys, you have the floor. I think John, you go first. Boom, you introduce yourself first so that John will follow suit.
Thank you, Chieftain. Hello, everyone. My name is Boom, and I remain a friend of the tribe. I'm the most active tribe member here. Always in the building. You know how it goes when I'm around. We chill everything from the talks.
No Allah, sir. No
to
Allah.
The gist.
Okay, so Boom, that was nice. I mean, if you've been listening to us, you already know Boom. So I don't know, John, you go next, so we can just quickly get into our discussion. John, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm John. I'm a software engineer, and that's basically it for me.
A proud husband to one wife and many children to come. Add that part.
There's no wife. And
he's my
friend, a
role.
very serious friend. He stopped mocking
Okay.
me. There's a serious friend, but there's no wife for now. A very, very serious person.
Don't worry, we'll open a donations channel. When you open, we'll let you know who the wife is. Oh yeah. So we'll move to the discussion. We'll start with trying to understand what is internet fraud in Nigeria. What's in the internet fraud? How does it happen? What does it mean? If person asks you what's in the internet fraud, I don't know. Waiting like what comes up when you hear the word with the internet fraud? I don't. It's not a word. Maybe we can say a phrase, but then
Yahoo, Yahoo, Yahoo.
yeah,
That's,
yeah. So you know that there's actually this whole internet fraud thing. I was reading up for this episode. I read about it that it started in the 70s. Started with fax letters. I mean, how did they used to call it? Fax. Basically, it was offline sending of letters and stuff. That was before the internet became a popular thing. And then the whole Yahoo thing started with the mailing system, yahoo.com, right? Because it moved from the manual and offline thing to online, and then it became, it was done through emails. It's basically, for me, it's fraud that is committed on the internet by many means. Maybe phishing. The one that seems the most common and quite very successful too is working on people's emotions, social engineering and stuff, dating sites. Boom. I don't know if there's anything you want to say.
Okay, internet fraud is actually,
Sorry
can
to
you hear
cut
me?
you. Maybe you, yeah, I can hear you. I think you could move in the direction of maybe motivation or things that drive people to commit internet fraud.
Okay, things that I think the most alluring thing about internet fraud is actually the profit, the gains. That's what everybody is, or those who involve in it, that's what they are in it for. It's for the profit. It's how they can cajole and get that money, or cajole and get that contract, or get that. But it's mostly always about money, because that's where the profit, or that's what they stand to gain with the
Okay,
whole
yeah.
process.
That's like the end thing. So what of the starting? What motivates people to start? Is it okay?
Ah,
Let me just put it this way.
I'll start with first pressure, peer pressure. I'll start with peer pressure. I think that's the most common. First of all, I think let's not start with peer pressure. I'll start what motivates people. It's ability to fend for themselves. You know, to earn a living. People want to like make a work out of it, or make a career out of it, or make something out of it for life. That's what motivates most people, and the whole situation of, let's say, the country, or the whole situation of things in their environment. Then the second one is peer pressure, most notably. Probably you walked into a lounge or somewhere, or let's say you are going to buy Fanta for yourself or never before. That's another sort of motivation. And the third one is the women. You get me? You know what women like money, and men want to like fend for women and all that. You get me? So they'll be like, this girl, I must catch him today. You get me? So you look, how do I do that? How do I impress her? Those are
Yes,
the
boss.
three I can actually proceed like to tell. But
Okay, so I think I'll start backwards. You know, I usually say that the market for men is women and the market for women is men. So if men were to be considered products, the people that patronize men are women. If women were to be considered products, the people that patronize women are men. And then in the market, you have what is called market forces. So if, for instance, I am selling tires, and then the population around me, say I'm selling tires in a snowy area, the people around me would want snowy tires. If I now go and buy racing tires, that's not what the market wants. The market wants snowy tires. The market wants tires for snow. So me that is selling to the market has to conform. So it is the market that determines what is sold. So if you look at comparison between men and women again as demand and supply, or market and the market and the sellers. You have men as products and then women as the buyers of men. So what women want is comfort, luxury, and stuff. So the men are just trying to conform. But still, that doesn't excuse fraud. Even when you also look at the angle of poverty. Because here's the thing, in a country that minimum wage is 30k, a liter of fuel is over 600 naira. How many liters of fuel can your 1 month salary buy? So you can also look at it that what's it called? Poverty. Poverty could drive people into fraud, but then it still doesn't excuse fraud. Like I said, there are certain things that it's like saying somebody was poor and then the person goes into armed robbery. Armed robbery is still bad regardless. So fraud is still fraud. It is still bad regardless of whatever drove the person into it. And then Mr. John, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, boss. I don't know. Is there anything you'd like to add regarding the legal and ethical implications, or if you've noticed any trend in the prevalence of internet fraud, say with time? Is it reducing? Is it increasing? Is it within a certain age range, a certain geographical area in the states? Like, say, I'll be in the country, say maybe say the west, the south, the east, the north, or all of that.
Well, first of all, I want to make a contribution for my own things that drive people to this whole fraud thing. For me, it's society. Currently, is generally acceptable. At least not generally. It's okay, acceptable among members of the society. Like some members, that okay, being a Yahoo boy is cool. Duping people is a smart way to do things. So that has also helped in encouraging young people to go into this area of life. So apart from that, it looks like it's just stable. It's just there. It's not rising, it's not increasing, it's not reducing. It's just there for now. Like that's what it looks like. It's something that is there, that hasn't risen and it hasn't dropped. And about what demographics in Nigeria have a lot of fraudsters. Well, this one, you are just setting me up for problems. But if you are setting me up, it's obvious. But if we're being honest, well, the whole internet fraud thing, it seems restricted to Southerners, people from the west and people from the east. It seems the north is not involved in this particular vice so much. So, which brings back to that my initial point that it's the society. This thing is generally not accepted in the north. Like one thing about northerners is they are okay. There's no much pressure about money in their normal society. So if you take the east for instance now, when you go back home for Christmas, you see your mates, they are driving G-Wagon. Your mates are driving M-Class, C-Class, S-Class. And what are you driving? You are driving a Corolla, or even worse, Legacy Benz. So all that adds to like that kind of pressure, the society, the environment. But if you look at the north, the kind of things they prioritize are a bit different. I'm not saying they don't prioritize money, they obviously do, but their society generally prioritizes different types of stuff. So which brings back to the point again that society is playing a very, very big factor in this whole shifting people to fraud and all that. So that's what I have to say for now.
I want to actually shock you. I want to shock you. Do you know that this thing called internet fraud actually happens the most in the north? Kaduna State, for instance, I think joining the 2 top eastern states does not meet up. Over 70% or so actually happens in the north. The leading state in this country for internet fraud is Niger State, followed by Abuja. I was surprised to come across this data last week, and then it's actually verifiable information. And you see one person controlling
We-
over 5,000, 10,000 PVNs used for cashback. That's still internet fraud.
Actually, actually, Abuja, Abuja specifically is a different. In short, I wouldn't classify Abuja as not in the sense of position or there are people like, because Abuja is a mixed place. Is a very very mixed place. If you want to understand Nigeria, you start from the election results, because we are very tribalistic people in a way. Look at the election results. So Abuja is a mixed place because everybody comes to Abuja. I stay in Abuja, so everybody comes to Abuja to kind of hustle. So you can't use Abuja in any demographic study. Then I'm also not saying that it doesn't happen in the north, but you have to understand that the way it is in the south and in the west and in the east is not the same way here. Here, like in the south, kind of we glorify this Yahoo thing. When you see somebody is spending, he's a Yahoo boy, everybody is in a way tripping. Nobody says it, but behind the scenes, we all know that it's kind of exciting. And from there, young people, our younger generations than us are even picking it up that okay, this is a legit way I can make money. Society plays a major role, and we're seeing this, at least for now, this Yahoo thing is just going to be an uptrend because younger generations have already started seeing it like a cool thing to do or a way out. So another thing that contributes to this stuff is laziness. So laziness and bad influence. So when you start up and you are like things are hard, obviously at some point things are always going to be hard for everybody. But those hard times, we've already programmed the mind of the younger generation that if things are hard, you can easily sneak into this dark side or be this so-called gray area. I'm saying gray area in quotes because in our society it's kind of in a way acceptable. People would say it's better than killing somebody. But in essence, if you actually dupe somebody of his money, you could actually indirectly kill him. So to me it's similar. It's very, very close to each other. Although killing somebody is a lot worse, but it's quite similar. So the idea is we've already programmed our younger generation unconsciously. We've programmed their minds into believing that okay, if things get hard, you can easily switch to Yahoo, sharp, sharp. And I hear people joke about it a lot. So that's just my own point of view.
Yes, society tends to accept it, especially down south here. We tend to glorify wealth. We don't care about how it was gotten. We glorify it regardless. But there's actually a trend. There's actually a trend. In in 2020, EFCC made about 600 and something convictions. We got about 600 and something people to be convicted. In 2021, the number went up. In 2022, they convicted 3,785 people. I'm looking at the data here on my screen. 3,785 people. The 3,785 person was convicted on 7th, 7th December 2022. Calabar Correctional Facility. Convicted and sentenced to 6 months imprisonment or fine of 500,000 forfeited. His iPhone 12 Pro Max to restitute 12 Pro Max. Then he's to restitute $800 through EFCC. The EFCC will dispose the phone with the help of DCR, and the proceeds be deposited into a federal government account. So that's the thing. There's actually a trend. The numbers are shooting up really quick. 600 to 3,700 in 2 years or 3 years is quite a lot. Have you ever looked at what the legal implications for internet fraud is in this country? There's actually, sorry, to the next point, there's actually government establishments, right, with the sole responsibility of combating this internet fraud and other kinds of fraud. I don't know. Have we looked at the legal implication?
Well, I personally haven't looked in depth into it like that.
All right. I think I went in to look into it. There's actually a cybercrime act, I can't remember what it is called. I'll mention it in a subsequent episode. We still have many episodes to discuss. It's actually a cybercrime act, and yeah, in 2000, ICPC was set up, and then in 2002, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) was set up. These are organizations that the federal government tries to use to combat cybercrime. I mentioned already that EFCC alone convicted 3,785 young people for internet fraud in 2022. We don't know what the number will be like in this 2023, but it's definitely going up. It's not coming down. Going by the trends that we've been seeing, the numbers don't come down, they rather go up. I'm going to go into talking about the impact on young people, because if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that this podcast is basically for young people, and Nigeria is one of the youngest countries in the world with average age 18.6, median age 18.1. And then fraud is something that is very, very common amongst young people. Fraud actually has impact on young people. There's psychological impact, there's emotional impact, there's stigmatization and social consequences, right? So I don't know, as a person around you, is there anything you've observed? Psychological impact, emotional, socio-economical, or even employment and education, the impact on those areas?
Please, can you repeat the question? The impact of. Just repeat the question.
The impact of fraud on young people, to include psychological, emotional, socio-economical, education, and employment.
Okay. First of all, the impact of fraud cannot be overemphasized. You know, people. John, I think John said something about laziness. So let me start from there. Fraud encourages laziness. Let me put that. It encourages laziness. If you feel laid back and now you feel like, okay, maybe there's some way or there's a pool I can just go and like get someone's money or get me or swindle someone. So it encourages laziness, and it also increases the use of, like, I don't know, something is always associated to fraudsters and drugs. So I don't know why. Maybe stress levels, anxiety levels. You get me? So the way they mostly like tend to calm the pressure is mostly by drugs. You get me? Drug intake, cannabis, and the rest. And also, it reduces the moral value of the society, like moral decadence. It takes out the values that we have as a society. You feel like, okay, maybe I got my proceeds from fraud, I can be disrespectful to anybody. You get me? I can just go and tell that policeman, collect this money, and then that crime sets me free. You get me? So moral decadence also, it's induced by that. Psychologically, just I feel like it's psychologically, fraudsters, like how it impacts them is that, it just makes them believe that that's the only way out, and probably they can't do something that's actually legal and something that can actually prove their worth to the society. Again, because I feel like for one to be a fraudster, he has already given up. Like, I can't make it through here. I can't learn a skill and get the best out of it. Those are the points I'll add for now. In subsequent episodes, I'll bring the points one after the other.
You're very right, especially about the use of drugs that is very typical amongst fraudsters, because having to cope with the anxiety levels, and I think it's a sort of membership sign or something. I don't know, because it's easy to identify them. You'd hardly find a fraudster that does not consume one drug or the other. Even alcohol has to follow. And then for the emotional effect, a lot of them they face anxiety, the fear of the legal consequences, They can't move around like yourself or myself would move around. If we are to pretend that we are in a perfect country where the police don't just attack you just like that or deal with you for when you're not wrong or something, because sometimes we know our law enforcement guys are overzealous. Let's pretend it's a perfect country. The fear of legal consequences, and then the mental health, the toll on their mental health. We look at the socio-economic differences, right? These guys are ready to pay any amount for even the most ridiculous things. In fact, for them, value is attached to how much the thing really costs, not really what value the thing has. So, for instance, a fraud boy comes into a place, sees a house that goes for 1 million per year. You that is making legit income, you've already paid your 1 million. The fraud boy looks at the house. It's like, I must live in that house. And it's a thing for them to want to oppress somebody to, what they popularly say, school na scam. You will go school na scam, you go to. So, nothing. Make I show you say, nothing way if you do. I've seen a case where somebody paid for a house, I think 1 million. Yeah, 1 million. Paid 1 million. I think the house was in Surulere. It's on the mainland. The guy paid 1 million. The fraudster comes, pays 1.5 to the landlord and tells the landlord to refund the original rent. The fraudster, that's a socio-economic problem that the fraudsters are putting up. You know that there are some areas where hotel bills are crazily high. Cost of beers in lounges are crazily high. These guys are causing very big problems in the society in terms of the socio-economic problems. And then we also look at education. In universities where we have fraudsters, they are very lackadaisical about their education. They don't take school seriously. If they ever finish, they finish with the worst of grades. So it's like they didn't even attend. They're just getting a certificate of participation. You have the part where they come out of the school, they are not even fit for any sort of employment. Of course, they don't even want to be employed, because what kind of employment to pay you like fraud money? Fraud money is stolen money, and stolen in hard currency against our naira that is falling like, I don't want to use a bad this thing now. So let's just leave that. And then you look at the financial losses too to their victims, whether Nigerian or foreign. You know that even Nigerians too get scammed, although Nigerians don't constitute the bulk of the victims, but Nigerians get scammed. ATM frauds are usually performed too on Nigerians. So I don't know if there's any other points we want to add, maybe concerning stigmatization and social consequences, regarding maybe social integration, their future prospects, or their relationships, maybe romantic relationships or whatever, clear friendship relationships or family relationships, before we move to combating fraud.
If I'm adding to what you said, relationships, like single people, like we have these days, they can't find it comfortable, find a relationship like emotionally, because like, let's say you are working and you're earning very good and all that, you're like a normal kind of person and you're making good money, at least to take care of a girl, or let's say you want to go into like a serious something like marriage, and then a Yahoo boy approaches a girl and then now spends and overspends, and you get me, it will suddenly make the average person look threatened, you get me. So it has caused damage on a lot of emotional relationships. It's almost like a money stealer. You get, I think I've seen like on social media who guy or someone that is earning a certain amount of money, and 100% of the girls on that video is saying, Yahoo says the Yahoo boy, the Yahoo boy. I was like, what's happening in the society? And you see, when someone normal sees that, he's already pressurized. Oh, probably I can't get married. I can't find a girl that has those values. Get me? So emotionally in the society, it has altered the way of thinking for women.
Yes, it affects relationships, especially breeding entitlement and then unrealistic expectations. That's very true. Very unrealistic expectations, because if you're with a Yahoo boy that can afford to be paying you salary, I mean, Aside the luxury life he's giving to you, paying you salary, young girl, you're still in school, your guy is giving you 200k per month, still funds expensive trips and all of that. Tell me why you want to settle with a guy that is even earning 300k. 300k in Niger for a young guy, say that is maybe, say, between 24 to say 28. It's not very common. It's not very common. There are people that earn far more than that, but that's beyond, is above average, far above average. But then they think that that is still cheap money. People that are only students that really are not earning anything, their expectations are already unrealistic because of the exposure to fraud money with these boys. As every other problem, we can't just fold our hands to watch, right? Is there anything that we can do to stop these things in amongst our young people? Or John, can you help us? Do you have
Yeah.
anything you want to say?
Well, there's a lot. We have to incorporate patience into them. Like this thing, it will take a lot to pull it out of our security society, because let's think about people that are already in deep into it. There's a kind of background pressure to live a certain standard of life already. It's just like it's the same thing with runs girls. So at in your 20s, you'll be making 800k, 1 million a month from runs, from easy life, from Yahoo, from all that. And all of a sudden you are clocking towards your early 30s and you say, okay, maybe I should look for a legit way of living life. This life is not it. So it's very hard to adapt, because these people, they've already, the world they live in is different from us. The world they live in is more like money, money, money. Everything is money. Everything revolves around money. You need money to have status. You need money for anything. Nothing else matters to them. Education, nothing matters. Honor, nothing matters. All they think about is money. So it takes like serious programs, like, how do I say it without sounding like all these white people, like, but serious therapy to like kind of cleanse that your mind of that kind of reasoning and say, okay, even if you are 30 and you are on 300, you're on 200k, you could manage and work hard and actually expand that higher. So the way out is not only to lock them up, because if we start locking them up, people will be plenty in that cell. So the way out is, for me, stuff like therapy, like educating these people. Like it will take serious therapy, very, very serious one, committed one, to pull people out of that kind of style of lifestyle. Because it's just like smoking. If you are a smoker, then you said you want to chill for some time and you chill. Whenever things get hard, you always go back to smoking. So it's a long-term commitment if you want to help people out of that. It's not just a single advice day. You just call them, give them a training, bring them to workshop, get a skill for them. Even skills, like I think right now, tech is one of the hottest skills in Nigeria. Even people in tech have it hard, very, very hard. So when those hard times come, no matter the skill they have, they always fall back to the easy lifestyle. It's just simple nature. So they need full programs, full rehabilitation programs to get these people out of this kind of lifestyle, or else there's no way out that I see, no other way out.
Yes. You've made very valuable point. You said something about imprisonment. I think imprisonment is still very important. There should be consequences for wrongdoing, and then one of the consequences should be confinement, like that in prison, and I'll be in prison, and then even in the prison, we should have, our prisons should be appropriate correctional centers, not just correctional centers by nomenclature. They should be real correctional centers where you
Exactly.
have programs. Yeah, you have programs in the prison. Somebody should not go to prison and come out to commit the same crime. I saw, I think David Hundeyin, sorry, not David Hundeyin, Benjamin Hundeyin, that police PPRO guy that appears only when we don't have elections. Shots fired, regardless. That only appears when we don't have elections. I get that only appears when we don't have elections, quoting stats that over 60% of crimes committed. I can't remember the exactly, but loosely saying what he said. Over 60% of crimes committed are committed by repeat offenders. They've committed the crimes before. They've been convicted for the crimes. They are out. They are committing another crimes, and it's always within few weeks of release. So, what is the point of convicting the person, putting the person in prison, and releasing the person? They say, in fact, a worse criminal, because he has learned how not to be caught the way he was caught previously. So, there should be proper programs before these people are released back into the society. Then another thing is, once you've tested fraud money, it's hard to back out. So we should try as much as possible to prevent people from testing fraud money in the first place. Maybe through whatever programs that we can do. If it is by even exposing these people to proper education. Let people know from university that wealth is built over time. Wealth is built over time. Wealth is built through commitment, through value creation. You don't just wake up and you have money. It's not that it does not happen. It happens, but that's not typically the way. And one of the easiest ways out of poverty is actually education. Let's not even lie. One of the ways out of poverty for the child of the common man is education. So even when they go to school, they should take their academics seriously. You are not 17 and you're trying to drive an E-class when your father is a level 14 civil servant. How? There's time for everything. That's the time for you to actually enjoy being a young person and not to be pursuing C-class. That's not your level yet. Even in advanced countries, C-class, be an E-class. Somebody that is driving E-class at that age most likely is driving a predated E-class and bought it as foreign used. Or sorry, not foreign used, because they don't import their cars used like we do here. Buying it used, not you here. Even you here buying a used E-class, you're a big boy. So let people understand. Let kids understand. Let young people understand that there's time for everything. And then international cooperation is also a very important thing. International cooperation, because internet fraud is a very funny kind of crime. If somebody is not actually reported, there might be no arrest. Right? If somebody is not reported, there might be no arrest, because there has to be complaint against the person before that person is arrested. So that's how it is. I don't know if there's any other point that I haven't touched, or is there any other thing somebody else wants to say before we quickly wrap up this episode?
Yeah, I'll start. I'll start with what you said. I'll also like us to go back to the society, main units or the smallest units of the society, which is the family. Many parents are so encouraging of fraud these days, right? If it's kids or what, I've been hearing people say, their mothers are praying for them to cash out and stuff like that. Again, many parents are so, you see your child coming back with car of 7 million, 5 million, say if he's not doing anything, like he's not creating value, he's not adding value, you'll be coming back with, and you won't question. You get me? You'll just be like, oh, God has done it for me. Like, that's the miracle you've been waiting for. There's no question, no interrogation to find out how you actually did it. You get me? So I think the family has a role to play. And the second one is the government. I feel like why fraudsters fraud is because of the kind of society we live in. When you look at this, again, tries on fraud, and then they'll not look to it as a motivation or as something of okay. So I think they also look towards that angle. And the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, I think I don't know, but I don't even want to put myself out there. But from report and what I've heard, I don't think they are doing enough in terms of conviction and in popular figures. Imagine a whole hush puppy, for example, Raymond Abbas. He comes to Nigeria, chills every day, and are you trying to tell me that you don't know that he was involved in fraud or something? that it had to be Interpol that or FBI that works on those kind of cases. That's in Nigeria. He spends his card in Nigeria. He does most of his. You get me? So I think
Let's not even
the EFCC itself looks like
sorry. Let's
I don't
not
want to
even
go
forget.
there. I don't want to
Let's
go
not
there, but I
even
think internally they have a corruption of they have a corruption. Go on,
yeah.
go
I
on.
was saying
Chieftain, you can
let's
go on.
not even
Yeah.
forget. Let's not even forget that his agent that connects him to his Nigerian tailor. Let's not forget who that agent is. The man that said he used to connect Hush Puppy to his
He was a
Nigerian tailor.
policeman.
Of course, a very senior police officer. Yes, Abakari. Let's not even. I mean, if they say show me your friend and I'll tell who you are, I am not saying he's a fraudster, but you being associated with a fraudster is kind of difficult. It's kind of difficult to say you're clean. It's kind of difficult to not to want to think of you as a police officer that should be really looked at. And then we now look at the issues he's fallen into after that situation, where he was indicted in a couple of issues and then there were extradition requests and stuff like that. We know also that this is Nigeria. The police can cry about it, they can shout about it that skits should not be made portraying Nigerian police collecting bribes, but it is the experience we have on the highways every day. The IGP can talk about it as much as he wants. I don't think they are doing enough. They are just talking. Because these policemen that take monies on the highways, that collect bribery, that force citizens into searching their phones and doing all manner of things. I'm saying this from a position of somebody that should be very angry. Because I've had the experience this year. I've had a very bad experience with the Nigerian police force this year. With the issue of catching a young person on the road and collecting money. The IGP says this thing, and then the policemen that perpetrate these activities do it with all manner of boldness. You tell them this is what the IGP said. They'll ask you to your face, who is the IGP? So for them, I don't think this is just more of talk and not enough action. So that's one thing that needs to really happen. There's a Guardian report. I can officially quote that Guardian report. Because if anybody comes for me, I mean, I didn't put it out there. The Guardian newspaper did. An investigation was carried out. And you have Yahoo boys that said it clearly. That most of the Yahoo boys that are arrested because they are not settling policemen. The bigger Yahoo boys are big fishes and you can't arrest them. In fact, they even said it that when the policemen in that area are beginning to do too much, trying to open shop on their head, they relocate to a new area. So it is now, it's a circle of a vicious circle because there are many people that are into fraud that would not have been into fraud if the economic situation was not so bad. And then there are many policemen that are actually corrupt and collecting monies from these fraudsters to allow them to still be working free and committing fraud that would not be doing so if they were being paid enough. We saw the other day the salary of an army captain in public domain. Although the Nigerian army has not come out to say it is authentic, but we know they are poorly paid. Salary of an army captain is 220k. If that is true, we also know that a lot of our army men, they drive good cars. Some of them, in fact, not even some. For somebody that is like in the rank of a captain, you can see the person driving a 406, Peugeot 406. Just so you know, a Peugeot 406 foreign use retails for about 6 million naira. If I'm earning 220k, how do I drive a car of 6 million naira? Use an iPhone of 500k, and I am married, I have kids. I'm not saying you're corrupt, but make we not do like say the math is not mathing. All of these things make me say that questions should be asked. We shouldn't just be living life like that, right? Questions should be asked. And then I don't know if this. Okay, I think we've flogged that quite enough. We've spoken about the family. We've spoken about the police, the EFCC. Now, I'm going to move to the last part, support and rehabilitation for victims and offenders. What can be done to help victims? What can be done to the offenders? I think I touched a bit on the offenders. When in prison, they shouldn't just be in prison. You're not just taking away their freedom. Correct the problem with their mentality or whatever can be done. It should be a proper correctional center. I don't know. Is there any other point we want to add? Maybe from the angle of technology and innovation.
Yeah, well, okay.
From the angle of
For me,
victim.
No, I think John should go first. He's not spoken in a while.
okay. Yeah. So for me, I think if we are starting, we should start by the problem is when you talk to these Yahoo boys about this thing, they'll tell you that the problem is from the top and they are not wrong. Well, the example people are setting from the top is not exactly good example. We're like, okay, fine, everybody in this country is corrupt. See the government that is arresting us. Most of the people in the system are corrupt. They are doing all sorts of evil stuff. So why should we be the ones to stop? Like, if we are stopping, it has to stop from a country. EFCC has to be very, very effective. We are starting from the top. Start reading it. Let people start facing the consequences of their actions from the top. So that if I see that my governor, for embezzling money or whatever he does, I'm not saying my governor did that, of course, but if he did, if I see him suffer, like they dish him the full score, exactly what he deserves, no pities, no exemptions, me myself, I'll have to be cautious and be like, Omo, if they catch me, I know there's no hope. So my first point for changing this whole narrative is the consequences should be effective. We want the consequences to be effective and visible. We want it to start from the top. If it starts from the top, everybody under would oblige and follow through. So that's my own solution for it.
Yes, thank you very much, John. But you know that for macro change to happen, it has to start as micro change. Individual changes from us as a country or citizens in a country would cause the needed general change that we want to see. So if myself, I am not doing fraud, I don't allow people around me to do fraud. I speak to them. I try to do as much as possible to reduce the prevalence of fraud around me. For instance, after the first 3 episodes of this season, we're going to bring in professionals in high-paying career paths to come and speak to people so that we have like a chit chat with them so people can see how they had to navigate a way into this, right? So that you can know that you can actually make a living out of something else outside of fraud. There's something that fraud does. There's something that fraud cannot do that making money outside of fraud does. If you're making legit income, I can be making less than a fraudster, but I am financially much more stable than a fraudster that is making more than 6 times of me. Because making legit income teaches me stability, it teaches me discipline, it teaches me living a life of routine. And one of the ways to be very successful is actually having a routine. You can go and research that. One of the ways to be successful is having a routine that you can stick to. It takes discipline to live by a routine. And then it makes me understand value for the money I've made. A fraudster is all about making money to celebrate making that money and spending the money. A fraudster is not about investing that money. He's not about stability. Maga go pay. Now waiting the door stock. Right? Maga go pay. You don't see any fraudster we get waiting something like pension contributions. You don't see that kind of thing before. You own that to buy as waiting in the column, buy Hennessy and all of that to praise people for club. Person go they make legit income. No be income of 500k. You they carry go club, but fraudster go make even 300k, especially those new ones. That same night, he will burn 100k for club because he does not understand the value of what he's spending. And then people don't have good role models. Parents know they try. A lot of parents know they try. Aside the fact that we have poor parents or parents that are not well to do that are encouraging their children into these things, We have parents, people that are beneficiaries of fraud, like their children that are beneficiaries of their parents' fraud. I'm not even talking about the children of politicians. For instance, your father is a civil servant. Your mother is a civil servant. You people have 4 children, and all 4 of you schooled in the UK. How? So we know. The children feel even know, say, Omo, it be like, or any of those kind of things. They know, say, my papa, my mama feed the thief this money where they carry send they go school. You get that kind of thing. So if from the home they are seeing that kind of thing, it's normalized. They don't see anything wrong with it. Secondly, if there are no consequences, like John had said, people will do certain things. I read the story of a judge that used to collect money to give bad judgments. His own was justice is for the highest bidder. I can't remember the story exactly, but I know that when he was finally dealt with, he was skinned alive, and his skin was used like leather to make the chair for the next judge. And I think the next judge was his son. So as you're sitting on that chair to give judgment, there's no way you will sell justice. There's no way. Because you understand, Omo, if I do anything, if I do anyhow for here, the next person go to sit down on top of my skin as leather. Get that kind of thing. So they are very strict condition. This thing. There are very strict consequences. If your state governor that stole money is imprisoned and faces the full length of the law, dances to the full tune of the music he played while in government, right? The consequences of it. If he dances to the full tune, you know that you, that is the son of one Mr. Okoro, will face your own, right? So there should be consequences for wrongdoing. I remember I said that specifically when we were in the episode about false rape accusations. So, Boom, you were trying to say something. Please, you can say what you wanted to say so that we can begin to work towards wrapping up this episode.
Okay, I wanted to say that when we talk about internet fraud, it is highly linked to corruption. It is highly linked to corruption, and corruption is actually a phenomenon that is deep rooted in our society today. Because people see it as, okay, if I can't get to be that politician that is stealing those billions of naira, let me steal it the way I can. Let me use the assets I can to do the stealing that I can do. You get me? And I think as Nigeria as a society, we are really witnessing a great downfall. You get me? Institutions are not being institutions. And that's why correction cannot be actualized. They are not being institutions. Imagine you go to, like you said, you go to police, just for you to, let's say you have a case with someone. You get me? Let's say you have a case with a fraudster and the fraudster pays them better. Do you know that they will vindicate that case? Like they'll just say, they'll just like trade to the bin. So when you look at those things and you look at the way the society is moving, it will be proper to deal like on all spheres. Like you said about micromanaging. You get me? In as much we need to talk to this fraudster, we need to tell them, okay, this cannot sustain me. You get me? In as much we also have to tell our institutions, when you get a fraudster, you have to save the punish, you have to punish as constituted in the law. Because I think I read a story about EFCC killing its official for trying to call them out for being corrupt. I mean, they were sharing proceeds from collecting from. So, like, imagine when someone hears that, like, how does that even correlate? You get me? And then you now start to think, oh, what did they do to this fraudster that they actually nab? What happens? Is it that people could just go there and pay their way out? Because it will be a case of how much can I steal, not if I can steal. If it continues that way, that will be the case of, I just have to steal big. If they catch me, okay, I'll just use a part of it, pay, and I'll still continue. So I think we really need to check out the institutions, the ICPC, the EFCC, the police, our lawmakers, even from the presidency.
Yes, boss. Yes, you've made very valuable point. I don't know. I can't hear you again. I'll just round up here. Or I'll say a bit to add up before I round up. Peter Obi said something in the course of the elections or the build up to the elections that Nigeria is a place where you have the worst of us. Or, how did he put it? More like the animals in the zoo or something have taken over their face, the running of the zoo. So we have the worst of us leading the best of us. And then the worst of us determining how much they earn and how much the best of us earns. So if you have the worst of a society leading the best of a society, you can't be expecting so much. That's why they say things like school na scam, school no dey pay. Because I mean, to be a president, you just need to have attempted WAEC. You don't need to even pass. Attempted. Whether na dispatch rider will give you the WAEC result 50 years later, you don't even mean. Whether the result is real or fake, you don't mean. Now just say, make the results day. Say you don't attempt, get F9 for everything. You're awarded to be a president. And what is the money for being a president? What's the salary? What's the reward? Now, for you to get small, to even earn 6 million or 8 million as a university lecturer, a guy's rich professor. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine? So these things like this, they are very upsetting. They are very upsetting. It's a very unbalanced and very God. The whole thing is senseless to some way. And then in Nigeria, we run a society where we have powerful individuals over powerful systems. A proper society has powerful systems where even the president can be convicted after he's left office when the immunity is gone. A poor person can actually win the case against the big person because the poor person has been able to prove his point in court. Justice is not for sale to the highest bidder, right? The judiciary system is more powerful than anybody. But in Nigeria, we have powerful individuals, weak systems. So, like Boom said, the Yahoo boy does something bad. You file a case against him with the police. He pays off and he's free. Police in Nigeria has a special fraud unit or something like that. I know the unit starts with special S something. That was crafted to handle cases like this, internet fraud. Those guys need to sit up and be at the top of their game. This thing has to be caught nipped in the bud. The effect to us in Nigeria, the image it paints of us in the international community is not good. This is something we need to deal with. And then the future prospect of our youth. We're already complaining that our educational system is outdated. Yes, that's true. Our educational system is outdated. But fraud also is making us graduate people into the labor market that are not really useful to the labor market. They are not the most useful to the labor market. Let me put it that way. Because they come out with bad results. They've not learned anything. Person day he won the drive G-Wagon. It's time for everything. So I don't know, in parting words, John, do you have any parting words? Boom, do you have any parting words? Parting words for the audience so we can wrap up and close. A minute, 60 seconds. John, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. So, my own words is patience. Everything is patience. In the end, what I always tell people is, if you get caught, even as bad as it's bad, 10 years, think about that money you're getting. In 10 years, your peers will be getting a lot more than that, or accumulated will get even 100 times more than that. So if you are risking your whole life, 10 years of your life, for 2 million, 3 million, then you have to think again. So we have people like Hush Puppy, they've lived life, they've had fun. At this point, if I was in his shoes, I always consider if I was to rewind time, if I would still go that path. And I say, no, there's nothing more than your freedom in this life. Even if you are in the most beautiful cell in this world, the fact that you can't do things when you want is just like when we're in boarding school. Prison is one of the most horrible things anywhere, whether you have a TV there, whether it's in the US, whether it's a tush prison, no matter what, prison is prison. As far as these people control your life. So he's probably going to be there for some years. So I think even him in his shoes, if we could rewind time, he'll just live a simple life, because at the end, the Lamborghinis, everything, nothing can help you now. Apparently, if it was in Nigeria, maybe the story would have been different. But even in Nigeria, things are changing. Eventually, EFCC is going to be a very, very effective organization. They're already showing to be a very, very effective organization so far.
And the church
So
says amen.
amen. Okay. So let me cut it there.
Okay. Boom. Do you have any parting words?
My parting words will be, I will be like being a very like legit person, or doing a legit business, or being a legit employee, or doing a legit anything legit is not bad. Like John said, accumulatively, that money you still make it. Get me? It takes time for things to blossom, and you have to be able to like wait through that time. You have to be able to like be motivated. You don't have to be weighed off by pressure or by this person in the ball. Every one of us have different paths to freedom, to financial freedom, to personal freedom, to goals, to attaining goals. You get me? So you don't have to tell yourself, if I don't go and swindle that woman, if I don't go and even people that do the fraud locally, they are still part of what you are saying. All the bank rewards, all the game, and honesty is also a virtue. I think if you grow up from a good home, when you imbibe good culture, again, your mentality will be set. Again, because you won't see it as wasting your time going to school. You won't see it as wasting your time getting a skill. You won't see it as wasting your time learning through things. Get me? I think people these days don't try to appreciate the journey. Get me? Everybody is now looking for results.
Okay.
Maybe based on the economy of the society, or you get me? Because I think if people appreciate process and appreciate value, it will be very, very easy to cop this from the society.
Yes.
And so people have to be proud of, first of all, what they do that is legit. They have to be proud of it. If you are a mechanic and that's what you pay, so far as you can sleep well at night and you are okay, you can take care of your family. Again, you have to be proud of what you are doing. Don't get easily pressured. Cut your coat according to yourself, or according to your clothes.
Yes.
I think first of all, it's contentment. The Bible says contentment, godliness to contentment is great gain. And I think if one can be contented while still working for what he or she wants, then I think the society can be better as a whole.
Okay, thank you very much, Boom. Thank you very much. So I'll quickly round up with this. I said it in the last season. Your security is, of course, most important to you than it is to any other person. As internet users, the internet is one place that exposes us to a lot of risk. One of such is being victims of fraud. I always emphasize have two-factor authentication. For accounts where you have bulk funds, reduce the number of entry points into such accounts, like use of. For accounts with bulk amounts, don't have ATM cards for those accounts. Don't leave. In fact, those accounts should not be receiving money directly from external sources. Those accounts should be receiving money from your own account. So money comes into your account, a bulk sum, and moves from there to that account. That account is not an account that you give out to just anybody to maybe credit or use it to receive funds just anyhow, right? It helps you stay more secured. I was also going to talk about the family. Raising a proper child is the responsibility of the family and the community. Raising a proper child is the responsibility of the family and the community. Parents need to set good role models Don't live beyond your means. Don't be sponsoring children with money that is stolen. If you look at it in this life, going by the basic needs of a human being, you don't need 10 million a month to live life, to fulfill all of your needs. It's the truth. What you need as a person is not too much. The excess that you have is luxury. It's just to fund desires and wants. What you really need does not cost too much money. He said godliness with contentment is great gain. Community is what raises a child, aside the family. A child cannot be 17 years old. Your parents are civil servants, and then they go departmental night. They say most expensive dress person. Now you can't be the most expensive dress person from top to bottom. You're wearing over 700k. You have a Mercedes or a Lexus parked outside. Where are you getting the money from? They are celebrating the person. They are not asking questions. A child is raised by the community. And we've also spoken about the future prospects and a lot of other things. I think at this point we'll round up the episode. John has something to say. But before John speaks, I'd like to just introduce. Next week, we'll be talking about the role of Nollywood and the music industry in Yahoo. Right? The role of Nollywood and the music industry in promoting Yahoo or discouraging Yahoo. Whether it promotes or discourages Yahoo, we will know next week. The artist specifically, because me, I know the fear person face. If your lyrics, they promote Yahoo, I'll call you out. You're responsible for a lot of things. Music has always been a way to control the society in some way. So if you're singing lyrics that encourage fraud, you're culpable. So we'll call you out next week. I will call you out if another speaker no call you out. Me, I go call you out. Chieftain go call you out. Come my house. Come find me. All right. So John, over to you. You have the mic.
So I have a question for the audience. It's like an outro. So would you rather question? So would you rather live life like hush puppy for 15 years? 15 years of your life, you live large like a king, and the rest of your life you spend it behind bars, or even that same 15 years behind bars. Would you rather live life like hush puppy? 15 years, live like a king. The remaining 15 years you live behind bars, or live an average life throughout. So you guys should start by answering, Chief and Boom.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that in the poll section. We'll put that as a poll in this episode on Spotify. So thanks very much, guys, for listening today. We'll see you next week. Thank you and bye-bye.
Bazamilu zaju kanisa ay bashuleka abapanzi bavumile ukupasifane tina sobabili masifunye ya jabula asibe hevi munda